Big scary monster.
How should I feel? Creatures lie here, looking through the window. How should I feel? Creatures lie here, looking through the window. How should I feel? Creatures lie.
Hey creepers, welcome back to the Creepy Files. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe down below. Let's get to 100 subscribers for a special video. Don't forget we are accepting your subscriber stories. All the information you'll need is linked down below. Now let's creep into the life of one of America's most iconic sex symbols, Miss Marilyn Monroe. Born Norma Jean Mortensen on June 1st, 1926, she spent most of her childhood in foster homes and orphanages. When her last foster family had to move to another state because of a job transfer, Monroe quickly married her 21-year-old neighbor at only 16 years old. Soon she would work in a factory where a man would end up making her a model, and from there she'd become an actress as well. She'd then divorce her husband and become one of the most marketable Hollywood stars. She'd make many films, with The Misfits being the last, roughly a year before her death in her home. The story says her housekeeper stayed overnight at the request of her psychiatrist, and around 3 a.m., the housekeeper knocked on the bedroom door to get no answer, and the door was locked. The housekeeper then called the psychiatrist, who allegedly broke into the room to find Monroe dead. But does this story match the evidence? Let's take a look. The autopsy showed that none of the drugs in her system were in her stomach, and there were no needle wounds suggested in the autopsy, meaning Monroe didn't take the drugs orally or intravenously. They would have been administered anally. Also, the drugs were found in her liver, which could only mean that it was administered through an enema, which Monroe supposedly had talked about receiving several times. It was rumored that Monroe's body had bruises, but that was omitted from the autopsy. Monroe was believed to have died between 9:30 and 11:30 p.m., but the housekeeper's final story said Monroe went to bed at 12 and was found dead at 3:40 a.m. and pronounced dead at 3:50 a.m. by the internist. They delayed calling the police until 4:25 a.m., over 30 minutes after they allegedly found her. When the police arrived, Sergeant Clemens said that the housekeeper was cleaning laundry, and the room was abnormally tidy, and the body laid in an unnatural position as if someone had posed it. He also stated there was an empty pill bottle on the table, but nothing to drink with it. There was no vomit, and with the levels of 25 to 50 barbiturates, vomiting should have occurred. Monroe's filing cabinets were even broken into the night of her death. When talking to those close to the star, they found out that the lawyer and agent had known about Monroe's death by 10:30 p.m. on August 3rd. This would mean that the housekeeper's final story was not true. The neighbors claimed they saw Robert Kennedy and two men enter the property around 10 p.m. Now this takes us to the many conspiracies, so let's discuss the 5 most frequently believed conspiracies surrounding Marilyn Monroe's death. The first theory is that the theory of Frank Ocampo. In 1964, he wrote The Strange Death of Marilyn Monroe, claiming Monroe and Bobby Kennedy had an affair, and she threatened to cause a scandal, so he ordered an assassination to protect his career. The second theory is that in 1973, Norman Mailer claimed that Monroe and Kennedy had an affair, and she was killed by the CIA or FBI as a point of pressure against the Kennedys. The third theory is that Monroe kept a diary of confidential political information that she heard from the Kennedys, and that her house had been wiretapped by Bernard Spindle so that Jimmy Hoffa could obtain incriminating evidence to use against the Kennedys. The fourth theory is that Monroe was killed by the mob for the involvement with Kennedy. The fifth theory was that Monroe had affairs with both Kennedy brothers, and when Bobby broke it off, she threatened to reveal the affairs. So Kennedy enabled her drug habits to keep her quiet, and she overdosed and died in an ambulance. So they took her back to her house and staged it as a suicide. Now, each conspiracy can be pieced together with the basic overdose evidence. But the neighbors remember seeing Kennedy and two men enter the property at 10 p.m., which matches around the time that the coroner said Monroe had died. And she was said to have kept a diary about the affair and the political secrets of the Kennedys. Her filing cabinet was broken into. Was he looking for the diary? Let us know which one you believe down below. As always, thanks for watching, and tune in next time for more Creepy Files. Stay creepy.